Alabama folk singer is dead after she was attacked by a pair of coyotes.
What is the monkey doing? Tell me what the monkey...
He hit your face off!
We actually have a trainer in the water with one of our whales.
If I show weakness, if I retreat, I may be hurt, I may be killed.
Baby Azaria Chamberlain was taken by a dingo back in 1980.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Man. It is the only true crime podcast on the internet where all the killers are real animals, whether it's biting, scratchings, maulings, or clawings. We're here to talk about it, and I'm coming to you live. Well, not live, recorded live from sunny, beautiful Perth in Western Australia. That's right, I'm in a hotel room right now. So if you notice the audio sounds a little different, it's because I'm in a little towel shack that I've sort of ransacked together in this little hotel room. I'm in Perth for a conference, but I didn't want to let another week go without recording another episode of the show. Come on, what do you take me for? Some kind of fucking guy with a life? Perth's nice, by the way. I've never been here before. It's shout out to any listeners who live in Perth. Surely there's a couple. It's a nice town. I like I said, never been here before. I read about the city in my car on the way in, and I didn't realize this. It's actually the fourth largest city in Australia, which would also make it the fourth largest in Oceania. I thought Adelaide was bigger than Perth, at least in population, but it's not. Adelaide comes next. I got on a whole rabbit hole trying to find out what are the most populated cities in Oceania, because it's I think Oceania might have maybe the smallest population of all the continents except for Antarctica. I think that's true. And all of the cities are relatively small. So obviously the biggest city in Australia and Oceania is Sydney, and then it's Melbourne and Brisbane, which I knew, and then it's Perth, which I've learned. And then in Australia, the next one's Adelaide, but actually in Oceania, it's Auckland is the next biggest. And then weirdly enough, Honolulu is, which you never think of being in Oceania, but technically part of America is in Oceania, and Honolulu's up there. My hometown of Newcastle just makes the list at number 10 in Oceania, which is kind of cool. Newcastle mentioned. Awesome. Yeah, Perth's great, by the way. If you get a chance to come to Perth, it is probably one of the most isolated big cities in the world, but it is a really beautiful place. I had to walk around. Everyone's nice. People are a lot nicer than they are in Sydney. I've had people just be mean to me in Sydney for no reason. I will admit, I had a surly waitress at the Irish pub I had dinner at last night. She did not want a bar of me, which, hey, I've seen me on a Tuesday night. I know what I look like. I look like a vagrant, so I don't blame her at all. And speaking of, not vagrants, varmints. What is a varmint? I guess it doesn't matter. We're talking wolves today. I don't think a wolf is a varmint. I think a varmint is like a small little guy, like a little rabbit or a coyote. A wolf probably, it's an apex predator. I guess it gets to be more than a varmint. It's a violent little guy. We're talking wolves today. It's a list episode. Hooray! Yay! I love these. So I found a list of fatal, well, actually not just fatal, all wolf attacks in North America. And guys, this list, it's girthy. It's thick. I don't know if this is going to be like a two-parter or a three-parter or what, but we are just going to read through animal attacks, wolf attacks, until I get tired and want to go to sleep. So without further ado, let's get into it. What's that song? The wolf, hungry like the wolf from Duran Duran. I used to think that their band was called Durian, like the stinky fruit. Duran Duran sounds better, admittedly, but Durian. If there's any young people out there who want to start a band, I reckon Durian's the way to go. All right. Yes, I'm hungry like the wolf. Let's get into it. Sit back, relax, put it away. Put your penis away and relax, and here we go. All right, wolf attacks. Let's go. Yippee! Probably shouldn't say yippee when we're about to talk about people dying. Okay. So, we are talking the list of wolf attacks in North America tonight. Now, there have been few documented and undocumented wolf attacks on humans in North America when compared to Eurasia, and few relative to attacks by other carnivores. But this is a list, and it has fatal attacks and non-fatal attacks. We're going to see how we go. The non-fatal attacks might make their way onto a Patreon episode or something like that. But like I said in the intro, we are just going to start reading wolf attacks until I get tired and move on. As always, with these list episodes, we're going to start from the earliest known attack to the most recent. And this is a girthy, thick boy of a list, so we might take a while. So here we go. So our first victim, the date kind of ranges wildly. It's between 1750 and 1782, so a 32-year difference between those 2 years. Now, the victim in this case is listed as Plains Indians and other tribes stricken with smallpox. This list includes a type of attack, the age, and the sex of the victim, but this entry does not have that information. It just says NA. It does have a location, though. It says that this attack occurred on the Atlantic seaboard in Delaware Bay and under areas under control of Hudson's Bay Company. So here's the details. Wolves were drawn by the stench of unburied corpses that they devoured. The wolves also entered tents and attacked and killed the sick and helpless. Sometimes, but not always, the stronger tribe members were able to drive the wolves off. The tribe's starving dogs also joined in the depredations. That's fucking God, that sucks. Imagine you're like there, you get attacked by wolves, and your little puppy just like, I'm with them. I'm gonna join in with them. Bye. Yikes. Okay, next victim. Caroline Allen, who was 17 years old and female. She died somewhere between 1761 and 1781 in January, around midnight. Again, a 20-year difference there between those two different years. I'm hoping once we get closer to the modern day, we can kind of tighten in on our dates a little bit. But Caroline died in Bennington, which is in Vermont, and here's her story. So 4 young ladies and 2 young men, including Harry Mason, were traveling back to the settlement after a quilting quote-unquote frolic. Old people were weird back then. Wolves attacked, and all 6 climbed an oak tree. The branch on which Caroline Allen was standing broke off. She fell, screaming to the ground, where the hungry wolves quickly tore her to pieces and devoured her. Oh my God. Her sweetheart, Harry Mason, witnessed her demise and was so disturbed by it that he drank himself to death not long after it. Oh my God. An eyewitness described the wolves as starving. Yeah, I probably would too. Jeez, that, wow. 2 entries in and I'm already kind of blown away at how brutal these attacks are. This is not going to be, this could be a red flag episode, guys. I'm going to put that out there just based on we're 2 people in and that was pretty disturbing. Yeah, red flag warning. Also, as with all the other lists, I'm not sure we're going to get there, but little kids are often the people that get killed by animals on these lists. And I've had a few people, request for me to warn them when, a little kid was going to die. Sometimes I forget. So this is just me getting ahead of it. There probably will be some little kid eaten by a wolf. And if you don't want to hear about that, I don't know. I'll try to remind you or tell you about it the closer we get to it. Anyway, next victim's name was John Pencil, which is an embarrassing name. Mr. Pencil. Hello, I'm John Pencil. Dumb. Okay, he was an adult. That's his age. And he was a boy. He was a man. He died in 1780, shortly after the Loyalists were expelled from the 13 colonies. We're getting deep into, I guess, Is this Canadian history? American history? American history? I don't know. I don't know. You tell me. In 1778, John Pencil, sorry, a loyalist, caught his brother Henry fleeing with other American patriots to Monocacy Island, and he killed him for treason. Jesus, John. After the Loyalists were expelled in 1780, John Pencil fled from Tryon County, New York, to Canada, which the area was present-day Ontario. He was attacked there by he was attacked there by wolves 3 different times. It's like a wolf magnet. Local natives rescued him the first 2 times, but seeing him as wicked and cursed for killing his brother, they told him they would not help him a third. You know, I think that's fair. You get 2. You get 2 from the tribe, and then, you know what, if you manage to get attacked a third time, you're on your own, Pencil. John Pencil was attacked the third time, and having no rescuers, he was torn to pieces. The next death, his name was George Holmes, and he was a member of the Rocky Mountain Fur Company. He died in midsummer of 1833, and he was an adult. And this is the first time we get a description on the type of attack. This was a rabid wolf attack. He was killed. It says Fur Rendezvous on the Green River, which is the Colorado River. A rabid wolf got into Mr. Fontenelle's camp at the rendezvous and bit men, horses, and a bull. Mr. Holmes became afflicted with rabies and died a horrible and agonizing death. Ouch. Okay. The next victim was in 1836, 3 years after Mr. Holmes died. This was a farm worker. We don't know his name. He was an African-American worker. I don't know my U.S. history very well, but if he's an African-American worker in 1836 in Pennsylvania, would I be wrong in assuming he was maybe not just a farm worker? Would there be a different word we could use to describe what this guy was? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe Pennsylvania didn't have slaves back then. Hey, guys, not my table. You did it. Don't get mad at me for mentioning it. An African-American worker who had spent a day helping neighbors slaughtering stock was attacked while returning home in the evening, carrying portions of meat given to him in pay. Oh, you got meat pay. I love that. Before succumbing, he had defended himself with his butchering knife, killing 5 of the wolves. Damn, dude. This led to speculation that the pack which attacked him had perhaps numbered a dozen or more. Wow. It doesn't say he was a slave. Maybe he was just a farmer. I don't know. Maybe I owe Americans an apology. I don't know. America owes me an apology. Why? For season 9 of Scrubs. That's why. You owe me an apology for that. Okay. We do have our first child on the list now. He doesn't have a name, but he was the son of an Ebenezer Farley, and he was an 8-year-old boy who died in 1840, around mid-April. The area in which this occurred was Coleman, Upper Canada, which is near the Canada-US border with Michigan. The boy was presumed lost in the woods. A search party found some mangled body parts presumed to be the result of a wolf attack, since wolves in the area were abundant. Another boy named Tommy Spears died in 1841 at the age of 13 years old in Caledon in Ontario. The boy had been helping his father raise a log house for a relative. Towered? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, I'm so tired. I thought that it was a name like Howard and it was pronounced Toward, but it's toward. I'm fucking so hopeless. Okay. Towards evening, he was allowed to walk home by himself. He was never seen again, and all that was found was one shoe between 2 houses. Wolves were heard howling the entire night, and thus it was presumed he had been killed by wolves. Jim Jenkins, an adult, died in the winter of 1852 near White Fox Creek, which is a few miles north of Webster City in Iowa. 4 men were on a holiday hunt, but a major snowstorm rolled in, and they were forced to camp near White Fox Creek. The next morning, Jenkins told the others he'd made a circle and what? He told the others he'd make a circle and shoot some birds for breakfast. The storm worsened that day into a 3-day siege on the campsite, but Jenkins never returned. A search ensued when the storm passed, but the snow was too deep. When the snow finally did melt the following spring, a partially dismembered human skeleton was found along a sundering gun barrel and stock and the skeleton of a wolf a mile from the camp. Jenkins was presumed to have been confused and numb from the cold and then attacked by wolves. That's one of my favorite Jake and Amir quotes. I don't know if I've talked about Jake and Amir on the show before. There's an episode where, this is totally unrelated just because of the numb and cold thing. He's like wearing sopping wet clothes and it's like snowing outside and Jake's like, dude, aren't you like cold? He's like, nah, dude, I don't feel anything. I'm numb and cold. He's like, yep, so you're cold. No, I'm numb though. So numb that I don't even feel the cold. Yeah, but you're numb because it's cold. Yeah, that's a good point. Anyway, should this podcast just be me just reenacting old Jake and Amir episodes? I'd be up for that, actually. If people would listen to it, I would do it. Okay, moving on. This is our first multi-victim story. 2 women died in 1856 on the 27th of October near Mornington Township in Perth County. Ooh, Perth, Ontario. I'm in Perth, but not there. 2 women left home in the evening to search for cattle. They did not return. The next morning, a search party found their skeletons. A third possible victim, an adult male, had also gone missing from the same area at the same time and had not been seen for 10 days. This next victim, again, doesn't have a name. She is just listed as a young woman. She was 23 years of age. She died in, Pottawatomie County. Oh, I kind of nailed that. Pottawatomie County in Iowa. Pottawatomie. I think that's probably how you say that. That's a nice, I like that name, Pottawatomie. Because it's long and it looks like it would be hard to say, but it's nice. It's like Wagga Wagga. Pottawatomie. Anyway, this person died in mid-January of 1856. While a young woman was returning home from a prayer meeting with her father and sister, their horse was attacked by wolves and became unmanageable. I've played Red Dead Redemption. I know what that's like. The source does not state whether the victim was mounted on the horse or riding in a wagon. The 23-year-old woman was partly thrown and partly dragged to the ground and devoured. This allowed the other 2 family members to escape. When the neighbors came to the spot to hunt for the wolves, they found only a few shreds of clothing and a shoe. Our next victim is another child, a 13-year-old this time, a teenage boy who died again in Pottawatomie County in Iowa in mid-January of 1856. There's not a lot of information on this one. The boy hiked half a mile from his family's home to fetch water from a nearby spring and never returned. Bits of his bloody hair and clothing were later found. The next 2 victims are children, a son and a daughter of a Mr. Stockdale. A boy and a girl died on, I believe this is the 5th of January, 1857. Now, they died within 2 miles from a fork on the Little Sioux River near Woodbury County in Iowa. A lot of Iowans being killed by wolves. Wolves had become, quote, so ravenous as to destroy horses and cattle to a considerable extent, and that they have attacked persons, end quote. On the 5th of January 1857, the Stockdale children left their residence for a party about 2 miles away and were never seen again. After a failed search, they were assumed killed and eaten by wolves. A letter from a gentleman who had been in that area indicated wolves had chased him 4 miles and he had barely escaped. The next victim died in 1857 as well, in either July or August from a rabid wolf. They are unidentified. We don't know if they were a man or a woman, and we don't know what age they were. We do know that the attack and killing occurred near present-day Green Valley in Arizona. Rabid wolves were entering camps, towns, and even homes where the doors were open. 6 people were bitten and 1 was severely mangled and died. Our next 2 victims are also unidentified, but they are both adults and they are both males. The first one is in 1859 in March, who died about 6 miles outside Lexington in Michigan. A man was chopping wood outside his home when a wolf grabbed him by the throat. The man's wife saw the attack, picked up her husband's axe and killed the wolf, but the bite to the man's throat was immediately fatal. I gotta say, that's a cool ass lady. I bet she was cool. Okay. The next person who died was a deer hunter. We don't know anything else about them, except that they died near Searcy in Arkansas. Searcy? Searcy? I'm not sure how you pronounce that. I'm going to go Searcy. A hunter had killed a deer and was skinning it when he was attacked by wolves. His body was devoured when it was nearly devoured when it was discovered. Wow, this next story is quite long. And it's a military story. Okay, so this person who died, his name was Corporal Michael McGillicuddy of the 3rd Infantry in Company C. He was an adult. We don't know how old exactly. Wow, this is specific. When I said before I wanted to get specific, this is what I'm talking about. He died on the 5th of the 8th, 1868 at 2200 hours by a rabid attack. He died in Fort Larned National Historic Site, 5.5 miles west of Larned, Kansas. Let's read this story. It's a long one. A rabid wolf entered the Fort Larned military outpost on the Arkansas River, furiously snapping at everything and everyone, tearing tents, curtains, beds, clothes, etc. It entered the hospital and bit a bedridden patient, Corporal McGillicuddy, severely on the left hand and right arm, and nearly severed off the left little finger. The wolf then rushed into a group of ladies and gentlemen who were gathered socially and singing on the front steps of Corporal Wincoop's house. It bit Lieutenant Thompson of the 3rd U.S. Infantry, severely wounding him in both legs. Corporal Wincoop and his scout, James Morrison, immediately took up arms and gave chase as the wolf ran into another structure and bit a private soldier with the 10th Cavalry Buffalo Soldiers in 2 places. A sentry at the guardhouse fired a shot that went over the wolf's back as the wolf ran between his own legs. The wolf entered the quarters of the laundress and tried to attack her in her bed, but she was protected by the bed covers. The wolf finally charged at the sentinel at the haystack, but the guard shot it dead and escaped injury. The injuries were all cauterized with nitrate of silver, because they think they're werewolves, and washed with alkali washes regularly at the base infirmary. Hospital records show that on the evening of the 6th of September, Corporal McGillicuddy began showing marked signs and symptoms of hydrophobia. No further treatment was given to him. He died on the 9th of September. A large Newfoundland, it's Newfoundland, isn't it? Newfoundland. Because I saw Come From Away, and they say it's not Newfoundland, it's Newfoundland. A Newfoundland dog that had also been bitten died with marked symptoms of hydrophobia. The other patients fully recovered. Hospital records indicated speculation that Corporal McGillicuddy's refusal to allow amputation of his finger may have contributed to his death. Lieutenant Colonel Dodge made inquiry with the, it says Indians, I'm going to say natives. I feel like when I read it I shouldn't get in trouble, but I'm still going to do it. Lieutenant Colonel Dodge made inquiry with the natives camped in the local vicinity. They told him attacks by rabid wolves that entered into their village were not infrequent, and they knew of no person who had ever received even the smallest scratch from a rabid wolf to have ever recovered. Yeah, rabies is a scary disease. It's like, we don't think about it much nowadays, and we've talked about it a lot in the show in the past. The fatality rate of rabies is like 100% if you don't get it treated, which obviously they didn't have treatment for it back then. Damn. Imagine getting shot in a war and thinking that's the worst thing that's going to happen to you, and then a fucking wolf bursts into your bedroom and eats your hand. Pretty bad. Okay, let's move on. Let's do a few more. An unidentified adult died in February of 1868 in Cacapon Mountain in West Virginia. A resident living on the mountain was rumored to have been killed by wolves after first killing 6 wolves with an axe. Ooh, this guy's got a cool name. Way better than John Pencil. Morris Powers. Cool last name, not cool enough to not die, because this guy died in January of 1871 in a logging camp near Pine City, Minnesota. While eating dinner, Mr. Powers was attacked by wolves and devoured before assistance could reach him. 2 wolves, later killed by poison, were found to have consumed portions of his clothing and 12 brass buttons. The news story first appeared in the Stillwater Messenger. An unidentified adult male was killed on died on the February of 1873, 20 miles north of Perry Mills in Wisconsin. A farmer walked out of the woods and found a pair of boots with the deceased's feet still in them. Wow, that's insane. Particles of clothing, bones, and a dead dog and 2 dead wolves were also there. The presumption of the cause was that the deceased was traveling between 2 lumber camps and the wolves attacked due to the harsh winter and the dearth of prey. Wolves had been very problematic at that time. Presently, Perry's lumber mill operates near New Auburn, Wisconsin. There you go, still there. A Mr. Dugging, D-U-G-I-N-G, Dugging, it's cute. He died in January of 1885 in Menominee. I've heard of that place, Menominee in Michigan. Shout out to anyone from Menominee. The temperature had dropped to negative 43 degrees Fahrenheit, my God, one night in mid-January. The weather was severe and small game had become scarce. Mr. Dugging failed to return that night from a hunting trip. His friends found his body gnawed to the bone the following morning within 2 miles of their logging camp. 13 wolves that he had shot dead lay scattered near his body. Damn, he shot 13? Damn, man, that's pretty badass. At his side was his Winchester rifle with 1 round still loaded in the chamber. Wow. Dugging's kind of cool. There's 2 adults here. They're both men, and their last name was Olson. Died from a predatory wolf attack in New Rockford in North Dakota on the 6th of March, 1888. Mother from inside... I think it's supposed to like a mother, but it sounds like mother, like my mother. Mother from inside the house witnessed a large pack of wolves surround, attack, kill, and eat her husband and son about 10 rods, which is 106 rods, 165, or about 50 meters. Let's just say that. We've gone from one shitty measurement to another one with feet. Let's just use meters, okay? 50 meters away. The pack then tried and failed to get in the house. Investigators found their bones. A woman and her 2 children died in 1890, or in the early 1890s, oh my God. An adult and her 2 children. In Mexico, our first Mexican victims on the list. In the Sierra Madre Occidental Mountains between Durango and the Pacific coast. A horseman met a woman and 2 children who were walking to a relative's remote home. He offered to accompany them as protection from the dangers of wolves, a species Mexican wolf. That's cool. Oh, wow. The Mexican wolf, also known as lobo. They're cute. They do look different. Yeah, they look like a weird mix between like a wolf, a dog, and a jackal. Anyway, the mother declined. The next travelers, a short time later, found the remains of the 3 scattered on the same trail. The cited source indicates that the incident was not a lone anecdote, but a representative of frequent incidents, owing to the fact that the local residents were poorly armed. Okay. The next death occurred in Michigan in 1893. It was an adult, but we don't know his name, but we do know he was the son of Alexander Bellevue. Bellevue and a friend were hunting when a band of wolves surrounded and overcame them, despite the young men firing shots into the pack. The friend climbed a tree and watched as Belveau was torn to pieces by the wolves at the foot of the same tree. The wolves kept Belvau's companion trapped in the tree for several more hours until Belvau's co-workers from a nearby railroad construction camp arrived and drove the wolves away. 3 men died in 1922. Wow, we've done a big skip there from 1893 to I honestly didn't even know if we'd make it to the 1900s, but we have. In 1922, 3 men died. 2 and 4 miles from Port Arthur, Ontario, near the Sturgeon River. It is quite a long story. Let's read this. On the 12th of the 23rd, I guess, I hate Americans like dates. It's clearly, you should do the 23rd of the 12th. It's the 23rd day of the 12th month. Anyway, I'm going to say it. On the 23rd of December, an elderly trapper left his camp to, quote, mush down to the village to pick up his mail. Later in the day, 2 miles from the settlement, 2 First Nations men discovered his bones and blood in the snow amidst torn pieces of harness. The 2 men took their own dog teams and extra ammunition out in pursuit of the same wolves, but did not return. The following day, 2 miles from the village beyond the scene of the first fatal attack, a search party discovered the rifles and bones of the first 2 First Nations men amidst bits of clothing and empty shells. Scattered in a circle about the scene were the carcasses of 16 wolves. Wow. I'm gonna be honest, like, a lot of these people, like, yeah, they died, but they went out fucking swinging. They killed 16 wolves. That one guy killed like 13. Wow. Cool. Okay, let's move on to, now this is an interesting one. It's an unknown man falsely presumed to be Ben Cochran. He was an adult and he died in April of 1922. The attack occurred in Fisher River near Lake Winnipeg in Manitoba. When searchers arrived at the scene of an attack by a large pack of timber wolves, they found the bones of a man's body, a rifle with a broken buttstock, and the bones of 11 large timber wolves. The man was initially presumed to be Ben Cochran, as he was employed in trapping animals in the area. 7 of the wolves discovered at the scene had been shot, and 4 had been clubbed to death by the man's rifle. It is likely the remaining wolf pack overwhelmed the man, causing his death. On May 18th, 1922, Ben Cochran turned up alive and well in Winnipeg. Wow. That's pretty cool for him. He gets to just show up and everyone's like hugging him, buying him drinks. He's like, oh, what's going on, guys? Oh, I was just out in the forest, just fucking jerking off for a couple months. That's my impression of Ben Cochran, whoever he is. Okay, Carl Lynn died the following year in March of 1923 by a pack of wolves. He died, how do I say, my God, I'm just going to say Saskatchewan. I'm going to try it. I'm not going to pronounce it right, but it's Ile-a-la-Crosse in Saskatchewan. Quote, March 16, 1923, Carl Lynn, World War veteran and one of the best-known trappers and mushers in the North Country, is believed to have lost his life in a fight with a pack of timber wolves. 2 hunters reported here today. They say they thought his body had been devoured by the pack and he had killed 6 of the wolves. Shreds of clothing and a gun, identified as belonging to Lynn, surrounded the carcasses of 6 wolves, and they were found by the hunters near Cree Lake, 20 miles north of Ile-a-la-Crosse, but the hunter's body was lacking. Lynn was an experienced rifleman, and during the war served as a sniper. His body was not recovered. Damn. Fuck these. There's a lot of, it is scary when people just disappear. The next attack, not much information here, but he was an Inuit hunter, died in 1942 of a rabid wolf attack in Norvik, Alaska, our first Alaskan attack. He died of rabies from a wolf bite. An Inuit boy who was a child of unknown age died in 1943, again from a rabid wolf attack in Wainwright, also in Alaska, who also died from rabies. Alicia Burchek, who was 3 years old at the time, she died from a captive wolf attack. This is our first captive attack on the list, but I'm sure it will not be the last one. In 1898, on the 3rd of June, in Forest Lake, Minnesota, by her family's wolf. She was killed by her family's wolf in the backyard of her father's home. She died of liver damage incurred when the wolf slammed her into the ground. Fuck. Now, this next person we have mentioned before, Patricia Wyman. We've moved really quickly through this list because the Inuit Boy was from 1943. Alicia Barczyk died in 89. Now we're up to 1996. I've heard of Patricia Wyman before, and I had thought about making her like a full episode, but we'll talk about her now. She died. She was 23 to 24, we're not sure, and she died again from a captive wolf at Halliburton Forest in Halliburton County, Ontario, Canada. Wyman was a wildlife biologist who worked as a caretaker in the Wolf Center section of the Halliburton Forest and Wildlife Reserve. She was killed by 5 captive wolves on her 3rd day of employment. Jesus Christ. That might be, that might be really... That's probably a story we should follow up with our own episode, yeah. Okay. The next person on our list, we have actually done a full episode on him before. It's Kenton Joel Carnegie, who died at the age of 22 in Points North Landing, Saskatchewan in Canada. Now, we did a full episode on him a while ago. In fact, at the time, I think it was like the most viewed or most listened to episode within the first week. People really liked that one. So you can go and listen to that episode, but I will fill you in on what happened to Kenton Joel Carnegie. In the weeks leading up to the assault, natural prey for local wolves was becoming scarce. 4 wolves at Points North Landing had begun feeding on camp garbage that fall and were habituating increasingly to human activities. On the 4th of November 2005, 2 of Carnegie's camp companions, an experienced bush pilot and geophysicist, met up with 2 aggressive wolves on the airfield close to camp. The 2 men beat back the assault, photographed the wolves, and told everybody in camp. They later turned their photos over to the investigating authorities. This incident is now presumed to have been an exploratory assault by the wolves that fits a pattern leading up to predation. On the 8th of November, the bush pilot warned Carnegie not to walk near Wollaston Lake, but he ignored the warning. Carnegie hiked in the snow but did not return to the Geological Surveyor camp. His body was found partially consumed in an area known to be frequented by 4 wolves, 2 grey tans, 1 black, and 1 white, which regularly fed on human garbage. The pathologist who performed the autopsy testified Carnegie had lost about 25 to 30% of his body mass in the assault, with the top midsection of his thigh having been partially consumed. Although the original culprit was thought to be a black bear, and that was not ruled out, a coroner's jury concluded after a 2-year inquiry that the attackers had indeed been a wolf pack. And I remember when we did the full deep dive into Kenton Joel Carnegie's death, there were wolf, I don't know if you call them wolf apologists. It was like a wolf famine club, essentially an organization dedicated to rehabilitating the image of wolves in America, who essentially rallied against the notion that it was I'm thinking of a different story. I'm thinking of never mind. I'm thinking of the story, I think, of the bears attacking someone in Glacier Park, and then it was a bear apologist group, I'm pretty sure, was trying to say it was wolves that had attacked this person in Glacier when it was in fact a bear. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I got mixed up. It doesn't matter. Okay, moving on. Candace Berner, 2010. This list, by the way, the fatal attacks, I was wrong. The list is nearly done. It's the non-fatal attack list that's huge, which we might explore in another episode in the future. But let's keep going. So there's only 2 more people on the list. It's Candace Berner. She's 32 years old. She died on the 8th of March in 2010 by a predatory attack. She died in Chignik, Alaska, which is 75 miles southwest of Kodiak. Berner, a teacher and avid jogger, was discovered dead along a road by snowmobilers who found wolf tracks in the adjacent snow. The Alaska State Medical Examiner ruled that her death was caused by, quote, multiple injuries due to animal mauling. A series of necropsies, I can't say it, performed on wolves culled in the surrounding area shortly after the attack ruled out rabies, sickness, or wolf-dog hybridization as being a cause for the attack. The verified case was notable as being the first recorded fatal wolf attack in Alaska in which DNA evidence was gathered to confirm wolf involvement. And our final attack, actually not, I don't know why the list has done this. It's actually way, way, way back prior to 1820. It's actually the first one that should be on the list. A young person worker. A young person worker. This was an adult who died. They died along the Ohio River in Kentucky. 2 young black workers walking on a path in an unpopulated area at night were attacked by a pack of wolves. They fought with axes and killed 3 wolves, but one of the young men was killed. The other escaped up a tree, where he witnessed the wolves consume his companion and waited until the wolves left the next day. Blood and bone were found at the scene. Well, there you go. Guys, that's the entire list of fatal wolf attacks in North America. There you go. I mean, maybe we will do the fatal attacks a different time. I'm not sure, but for now, let's just take a break because we're a little bit over. Go take a break, go and do a little piddle, and we'll be back for the rest of our episode. Okay. Mwah. And we're back. Ooh, how'd you go, guys? Did you do a wee? Every episode I ask you to go and take a wee because I don't want you to hold it in. You know, we're not stopping on this trip. I'm not stopping again on this episode, guys. I gave you a chance to do a piddle and you didn't do it. Okay, let's get into the next segment of the show. It is, of course, the Scratch of the Day. Scratch of the Day, the segment of the show where we go through all the animal attacks that have occurred in the last week through the news. We read these articles together and we hopefully learn a thing or two together. We have a couple viral stories. The first is, here's the web. I'm reading on the website called Bro Bible, which you just know it's going to be great journalism. The headline reads, "Dad attacked by a raccoon while holding his toddler goes viral after doorbell camera reveals comedy of errors." Who wrote this? Cass Anderson wrote this. This occurred on April 26th, 2024, pretty recently. Okay, so Cass writes, "First up, let me just say that this video of a raccoon attack comes with a disclaimer from the father in the clip saying that, quote, everyone in this video is totally unharmed, including their toddler who got tossed through the air like Jameis Winston throwing up a sky-high interception while getting sacked." I don't fucking know what that means. What? Okay. All right. Who's Jameis Wilson? Now that we've established that no one was injured in this raccoon attack, let's talk about how this is the first time in my life I've ever seen someone scream like Ron Burgundy from Anchorman or pronounce raccoon like Gil Faison from Oh Hello, Raccoon. It'd be like raccoon. Because he has sex with a raccoon. I suppose now is it's the time I should mention that you must watch this with the sound on for the full effect. The gist of this video is a dad playing with his toddler son on the steps of their home when he's attacked by a raccoon. He then hurls the son away to fend off the raccoon in an attempt to get his son away from the attacking animal, but in the process, his son hits the ground like a ton of bricks, and it's all over in an instant with him left trying to explain the situation to mum. You want to know the best part of this? The link to the video is broken. Quote, "I was on the fence about sharing this here on Bro Bible, but the comments really got me. Here are some of the best comments. Why did his scream sound like Anchorman? Honey literally threw his child on the ground right next to the raccoon, saying this was to protect the kid is not true. You can literally see him panic and drop the kid in a response to the panic. At that point, should have just thrown the kid at the raccoon. Bro said every man for himself." Let me see if I can find this on YouTube. Maybe it's on YouTube. Man attacked by raccoon throws toddler. I don't know if this is going to come up with anything. Man throws raccoon. That's from a year ago. Yeah, so it has to be within the last few days. It's a surprising. Why is Harambe there? Okay, there's a surprising amount of videos of people getting attacked by raccoons, but it's not there. Maybe you can search for it yourself. let's read the rest of the article. The thing that's got me stuck about this raccoon attack is how on earth did he explain what happened to his toddler after chucking him like a rag doll? Toddlers move on quickly, at least most do. Mine has a memory like an elephant and would still be asking about this 3 years later like it happened the day before. But we need to commend the dad for sharing the video. He could have left this locked up in the Vinvint camera database. Oh, it's like a ring cam thing. And never shared this hilarious raccoon attack with the world. Instead, it has probably been viewed a few thousand million times. Probably not, pal. 1,000 million? That's more than any video on YouTube. Isn't it? Wait, isn't 1,000 million just a billion? Just say that. Anyway, and left a lot of people in tears laughing at it. And thankfully nobody got hurt, so all's well that ends well. All right. Well, it's a shame that the video link doesn't work. It says the link to the photo or video may be broken or the post may have been removed. He could have just removed it. Okay, let's move on. There is another attack. Maybe we can get the video of this one. This is from Sora News. Bear attacks a car in Japan, breaks windshield with its paw. It's in Hokkaido. Hokkaido bear comes out of the woods ready to fight. Bears are sort of the unofficial mascot animal of Hokkaido, Japan's northmost prefecture. As a matter of fact, the animals are so strongly associated with the prefecture that the stereotypical souvenir to bring back from Hokkaido is a wooden carving of a brown bear with a freshly caught salmon in its mouth. But while they can be cute, bears can be incredibly dangerous, and the latest reminder of that comes in the form of a video taken in the town of Nemuro in eastern Hokkaido on the afternoon of April 28th. In which a bear suddenly decided to pick a fight with a car, and the car was definitely the one in the worst shape afterwards, as shown in this video of the incident. I will read the rest of the article and then hopefully we'll watch the video together. Around 1 p.m, a man in his 50s and his companion were driving down a dirt road that connects to Route 142 in Nemuro's Toba district. Once they'd gone about a kilometre, which is 0.6 miles down the road, a brown bear came sprinting out of the woods and charged their vehicle. The driver quickly hit the brakes and brought the truck to a stop, but the bear didn't slow down and instead slammed full force into the stationary vehicle. Bouncing off the front left fender, the initial impact broke a windshield wiper, and as soon as the bear had regained its footing, it was right back on the attack, slapping the windshield with its clawed paw with enough force to crack the glass along multiple lines. The truck's front bumper was also damaged, but once the path ahead was clear, the driver hit the gas. The bear wasn't in the mood to let them get away so easily, though, then as it began chasing after the car after it attempted its speed away. Let's watch the video now, I think, okay? Alright, let's see if we can get it. It's like 7 minutes long. We're not going to watch the whole thing. I'm just going to scrub through and see if I can find where the bear comes out. Can you hear this? Big bear. Okay, the bear's running up. Oh, damn. Yep. They're beeping at it. Here he comes again. Whoa, he's a scary guy. Oh, wow. Okay, we don't need to watch the whole thing. The article has described pretty clearly what happened. Yeah. The rest of the article goes on to sort of say, like, you know, why the bear attacked. I don't know. We don't need to hear all that. We know why bears attack things. They're scared. Yeah. Watch that video if you can. It's pretty terrifying. Just look up a bear attacks car in Japan, and you'll find the video. He's a cute guy. I'll say that. Okay, we have a couple more stories to get through. And we have another bear attack from Japan. A bear has attacked a karate practitioner in Japan. A pair of bears picked the wrong person to mess with on Thursday in Japan when they approached a 50-year-old karate practitioner, only to be kicked away, police and media said, marking the latest in a spate of attacks in the country in recent months. Masato Fukuda was lightly injured in his encounter with the bears on Thursday morning in Naoro City on the northern island of Hokkaido. It's a Hokkaido again. Wow. The man was visiting from Japan's central Aichi region to see a waterfall in Naoro's mountainous area where he chanced upon the two brown bears poking their faces out of the bushes. One of them came towards him, and unfortunately for the animal, Fukada was experienced in the martial arts of karate, according to media reports. I thought, I'm not going to do the fucking accent, I thought I could make I really want to, but I won't. I thought I should make my move or else I'll be killed, he told a local broadcaster. Fukuda kicked it in the face twice and in the process twisted his leg, but his attack swiftly scared away the hapless duo, reports say. Both animals look to be about 5 feet tall, according to media. Bears can weigh up to 1,100 pounds and outrun a human. Yeah, the rest of the article just goes on and talks about the other bear attacks, including the one we just talked about there. There you go. All right. 2 bear attacks in Japan. 2 for the price of 1, hun. All right. We have a story sent in by a listener now. That's right, my boy Tristan has sent in another scratch of the day. I would have to say Tristan's probably our most prolific submitter of suggestions for scratch of the day, and I do appreciate it. He sent through a story, a Tobago shark attack. British man Peter Smith, which is also the most British name I could think of. Peter Smith injured 10 meters from shore. Yeah. A British man, this is the BBC, so I'm going to read it in my best BBC voice. A British man has seriously been injured after being attacked by a shark on the Caribbean island of Tobago. Peter Smith, 64 years old, received critical care after sustaining... See, my voice has changed, but I'm finding it. I'm finding the character. After sustaining serious injuries to his left arm, left leg, stomach, according to local officials. He said Mr. Smith was attacked at 10 meters off the shore of Chorlton Bay on the island's north coast at 9:15 on Friday. The Foreign Office said it was supporting his family. The incident involved a bull shark, estimated to be 8 to 10 feet long and 2 feet wide, according to a statement by the Tobago House Assembly. In a press briefing late on Friday, its Chief Secretary Farley Augustine said Mr. Smith was being treated in intensive care where he was being kept under sedation. I don't want to keep doing the voice, it hurts my throat. He had some fingers reattached, but still had significant wounds to one of his legs and would require, quote, extensive work, Mr. Augustine said. At the briefing, he had told reporters that health professionals had initially been trying to stabilize Mr. Smith and, quote, save life and limb. Mr. Augustine told the BBC on Saturday that Mr. Smith from Berkhamsted, Hertfordshire, was doing, quote, extremely well and is recovering nicely. Mr. Smith had been in Tobago with his wife and friends, and the group had been due to fly home on Friday. He added that the local government was working closely with the British High Commission to ensure that the family gets all the time they need during this difficult time. Eyewitness Orion Jakarov, great name, water sports manager at the nearby Starfish Hotel, said other people in the water were physically trying to fight off the shark. He told the local broadcaster TTT Live, I don't think they saw it. They were about height in the water, so they weren't out of their depth. Quote, I think their backs were turned and they were just kind of lounging around. No one saw the shark coming. This story goes on for a lot longer and it doesn't really matter. Basically, a guy got bitten by a shark. And hopefully he'll be okay. Thank you for the story, Tristan. Do we have another scratch of the day? Was that it? I can't remember how many I had planned. We do have one more. A former international cricketer has cheated death and he survived a horrific leopard attack. Former Zimbabwe international cricketer Guy Whittle survived a leopard attack and had to undergo emergency surgery after being airlifted from Buffalo Range, Zimbabwe. The photos of Whittle, who was severely injured and received medical treatment, were shared by his wife on social media on Monday. In the post, Hannah Stooks Whittle chronicled the ordeal her husband went through, saying that Guy lost a lot of blood and shared a couple of photos, one of which has Guy bandaged heavily and wearing a bloodied shirt. Hannah wrote, Guy and I are overwhelmed by the hundreds of messages of well wishes after Guy's run in with a wounded leopard earlier today. We are very fortunate that he was stabilized at Hippo Clinic by wonderful staff. He was then airlifted from Buffalo Range by Ace Ambulance to Harare and transferred to Milton Park Hospital for treatment. I'll read her whole statement. Here we go. Evening, all you special people. Guy and I are overwhelmed by the hundreds of messages of well wishes after Guy's run-in with a wounded leopard early today. He is currently awaiting surgery tomorrow morning as he lost a lot of blood. We will know more tomorrow when they remove the bandages in theatre. To Vickers Jane and Nick Kortziu, you are incredible. Brent Hine for getting Guy to the hospital. To Allianz Care, Miles Bennett and Rhonda Gurke, thank you. Finally, to our faithful canine Shakira and his handlers and trackers. Shakira coming up tomorrow to the vet after getting mauled by the leopard and getting the cat off Guy. Very special boy. Whittle runs a safari business and was mauled by the big cat while he was out with his pet dog Shakira, who was also injured trying to save him. Whittle, oh, there you go. This is not the first time Whittle, who represented Zimbabwe in 46 tests and 147 ODIs in a decade-long international career, has encountered a wild animal. In 2013, he was shocked to wake up to discover a massive 8-foot-long crocodile hiding under his bed. What the fuck? This is such a random turn of events. The 150-kilogram crocodile sneaked into the Humani Lodge in Zimbabwe and spent the entire night laying quietly, just centimeters underneath an oblivious Whittle. It was only discovered the following morning when Guy, who was enjoying breakfast in the kitchen, heard the terrified screams of a housemaid. There you go. Wow. Guys, I've got to be honest, really strong Scratch of the Day segment today. Really good. Let's move on to something that's a little more depressing, I guess, to our from the Scratch of the Day to the Dickhead of the Day. Play the Dickhead music. We got a drunk guy who kicked a bison. Now he's our Dickhead of the Day. The headline reads, "A man accused of drunk kicking bison sets off Yellowstone's animal attack season." Yep. It's that time of year. The tourist season has begun. The National Park Service on Monday announced that the first bison attack of the season. An Idaho man displayed quote-unquote Darwin Award level stupidity when he allegedly kicked a bison last week while drunk. An Idaho man is accused of kicking a bison while drunk, becoming Yellowstone National Park's first bison attack victim of the season, the park announced on Monday. The incident took stupid human tricks to an entirely new level, the curator of the Yellowstone National Park Invasion of the Idiots social media site told Cowboy State Daily on Monday. Long sentence. "You think you've heard it all before, and then there's this," Jen Mingid said. "That is absolutely nutty. What the heck?" Clarence Yoder, 40 years old of Idaho Falls, suffered only minor injuries in the attack that happened on the 21st of April, according to the statement released on Monday afternoon by the Yellowstone National Park Public Affairs Office. Yoder was charged with being under the influence of alcohol to a degree that may endanger oneself, disorderly conduct as to create or maintain a hazardous condition, approaching wildlife, and disturbing wildlife. He appeared in court on April 22nd and pleaded not guilty to all charges. The incident happened near the 7-mile bridge on the West Entrance Road, about 7 miles east of the park's west entrance, according to the National Park Service. There was a report that a person had harassed a herd of bison, kicking one of them in the leg. Park rangers found the suspect's vehicle near the west entrance and stopped it in West Yellowstone, Montana, and arrested Yoder. I know it sounds like I'm saying Yoda, but it's Yoda with an ER at the end. Rangers transported Yoder to a nearby medical facility where he was medically evaluated, treated, and released from medical care. He then was transported to the Gallatin County Detention Center, according to the statement. The statement did not describe the nature of the bison attack, whether the animal responded by stomping, kicking back, or trying to gore the alleged assailant. The vehicle's driver, McKenna Bass, 37 years old of Idaho Falls, was also arrested and cited with driving under the influence, interference for a failure to yield to an emergency light activation, and disturbing wildlife. She also appeared in court on the 22nd of April and pleaded not guilty to all charges. Each one of the counts against Yoder and Bass carries a maximum penalty of 6 months in jail and a $5,000 fine. The incident remains under investigation, according to the Park Service. The rest of the article kind of just goes on to say, like, about how people get injured by bison a lot due to stupidity, and it's nothing that we haven't really spoken about on the show before either, so we'll probably just end it there. So there you go, Mr. Yoder, you are our dickhead of the day. Well done. Yay! We did it. Okay, that's going to do it for our episode today, guys. I'm going to go out and explore some of what Perth has to offer. I'm going to go see a show, going to go eat a food and have a beverage. It should be a good night. So, yeah. Hopefully this episode will go out at the right... There's a time difference from Perth to where I live, so I'll try to account for that. But yeah, thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you so much for everything that you do, all your support. Thank you to everyone who sent your messages through this week. Lovely talking to all of you. I just want to give a shout out quickly to our social media pages. Instagram is where I'm really most active, so go to Man Eaters Podcast or Jimothy Chaps on Instagram. We do have an email. You can go to maneaterspod@gmail.com. And of course, there is a website, www.maneaterspod.com, where you can get the latest episode as well as all your merchandise. And send me some photos of you and your merch. You look great, guys. You're looking really sexy. I wore my Man Eaters t-shirt on the plane from Sydney to Perth yesterday. It was a 5-hour trip, and I was comfortable the entire time. So I can say they are nice. And finally, of course, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/maneaters. If you would like to support the show in a more direct way, you can absolutely do that by giving me money. Hooray! But only if you can afford it, please. Thank you very much. Guys, that'll do it for now. Thank you very much. I love your elbows today. And we'll be back next week with a brand new episode of Man Eaters. Stay safe out there. I love you lots. But yeah, please take care, because we've learned it's a jungle out there.